So now we already heard about TikTok and how to attract young people, how to retain them. And now I'm happy to welcome Michael Schumacher. He's responsible at TikTok for the travel and mobility branch. He's since long time here in the travel industry, so he knows very well the industry, but he also knows very well what young people really want. So he has a lot of figures and facts about the new community. And also he provides some instructions how you really can get them, attract them, and everything what is, a really good employer branding. So it's your stage now, Michael. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm excited to hear your figures and experiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Really looking forward to this one. Thanks so much for having me. I feel really privileged to do this for the third year in a row now, to be on an ITB stage. And what I'm going to talk about today is employer branding and recruiting on TikTok. We have done quite a bit of research, so I'm bringing along quite a bit of insights around this. Why should you do that? Who can you actually reach on TikTok? And also, how can you do it? How should that content look? I hope this works. Yes, and I'm starting the same way that we actually started our other keynote just 1 hour ago, more or less, on the eTravel stage, with one big number, just to get you thinking a little bit. What could this be? What could this mean? And what does it have to do with TikTok? And in the end, it is the minutes per day that a TikTok user uses the platform. That's more or less an evening-filling movie, right? But broken down into like 200 videos. And that is what we're working with, right? That's the potential touch points that you have with the TikTok user on a daily basis. And I'm going to give insights on how to make use of those. So who am I? I'm Michael Schumacher, working at TikTok and have been working there for 4.5 years with all kinds of travel brands, helping them not just to attract new talent, but obviously also to advertise travel services on TikTok. But we're going to focus on the new talent today. And generally, TikTok is the new destination for companies to build their employer brand. And fortunately enough, I'm not the only one saying that. There's quite a bit of, let's say, general noise about this topic on the platform, and there has been for years. To be very clear, travel companies on TikTok, especially in Corona times a few years ago, quite a few of them have actually started with recruiting and employer branding campaigns before they even advertised their travel services on the platform. And this topic has become quite big, so we're going to look into this a little bit deeper. In detail, I'm going to talk about the target audience on the platform. Who can you reach? What are those people interested in? What are they working in? Those things like that. What are they talking about, and what do they want to hear, or rather see from you on the platform? And then I'm going to give you the key takeaways as a kind of summary to give you a chance to take away the most important points. Exactly. And looking into the first insight here right away, maybe a little bit of background of what we did. We really tried to understand industry by industry on the platform. So we're doing quite a bit of research. And we did the same around employer branding and recruiting on the platform. So we asked our users, what is your employment status, right? And I think the overall distribution here is interesting enough. Even more interesting, though, is kind of the comparison to that same distribution across the whole society. And it's not a big surprise. In the end, you're going to find more students and less retired people on the platform. But again, it's one of the bigger arguments for quite a few travel brands to start those topics on TikTok. You're going to reach young people. You're going to reach potential new employees, especially in the younger segments, even though our audience is also becoming older and older. Now, looking at industries, it's quite interesting to see that quite a few people on the platform are already working in leisure and hospitality. So this is just to give you the understanding that you can actually find people with experience in your industry on the platform. And apart from that, you can find people that are interested in your industry on the platform, right? So again, you can see here against the index of general society in Germany, this is quite high. So experience as well as interest in the travel industry exists on the platform. Right. Apart from that, there's a certain, people are more likely to be more career focused when you look at TikTok users. So you got people that are actually interested in developing their career, interested in understanding career development opportunities, and they're interested in learning new things. So again, even the people that are not connected to the travel industry today might be your potential future employees on the platform because they are interested to learn new things and to look into new topics. Apart from that, 1 in 4 users on the platform has a university degree, so a certain academic background can also be found. And maybe this is one of the more interesting or the most interesting statistics here. 30% of the users are actively looking for a job. That's great. That's for your today to tomorrow recruiting campaigns. But maybe the more interesting part here is the 47% of people that are passively open to new opportunities. That is not just interesting because it's your general potential on the platform. It's also interesting to think about a more continuous presence on the platform, right? It's not enough to just push out your recruiting campaign on TikTok once a year and that's it. But you actually have to be there in a more continuous way as an employer brand because you want people that are just passively looking also to see you, also to understand what kind of company you are, even though they might not apply tomorrow, right? So how can you as a company out of the travel industry really kind of get a better understanding of the topics that are played on the platform? You can do so by actually using TikTok, right? You open up the app and you look for the hashtags and for the searches that are used on the platform, and you get a pretty good understanding of the different topics that are touched and that people are interested in. Like the industries that people are interested in. I mentioned this a little bit before, but transport, tourism, and those kind of industries are already in there. Also the career choices, especially with a younger audience, you obviously have the question, do I go for an apprenticeship? Do I want to study first? Do I want to do both? Those kind of things are also discussed on the platform quite a bit. And then obviously content around the jobs itself. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this one, especially because you obviously want to understand what kind of topics should I play on the platform, what is authentic employer branding and recruiting content on TikTok. So I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper. And then, not surprising, the job hunt things itself. So what are interview preparations, for example? What can I actually do to apply for a job on TikTok? And in the end, I think especially this part also should make you think about more than just a pure advertising presence, right? If you want to come along like a modern future employer, then maybe the process of actually applying to that position should also be more modern, right? You shouldn't be asking people to kind of do an old-fashioned CV and then send it to you by fax if you're doing that presence on TikTok. So have a think about the process itself too. Maybe you actually allow people to apply to that position in form of a video. In the session before, we had the example that people can apply without a CV. Those kind of things, modernizing the whole process, make the kind of content that you create on a platform like TikTok more believable and more authentic because your whole process fits it. And now we're going to look at the actual kinds of content that you might want to talk about on the platform. The biggest word here, and maybe your most important takeaway for all of this, is authenticity, right? So think about how to authentically show how working at your company looks. That includes negative points. That includes that no job on this planet is perfect. That includes the full day in the life of an employee, including the things that are just kind of stressing you out, for example, right? But it also includes things like benefits and obviously the kind of packages that you offer people. Again, the formats that are used here are the day in the life formats. You might have heard of those quite a bit. They are outside of TikTok too, but they are very, very big on TikTok. Then work-life balance topics, things like that. Job offers, obviously. As I said before, this should not be the only thing that you're doing on the platform, but the job offer itself should also be there. And then career progression insights, right? Have your employees be in front of the camera, have them be your creators. The way the TikTok algorithm works, you don't need a person with 10 million followers to talk about your employer brand. You can literally just make use of your own employees, and if it's in an authentic way that they talk to the audience, this can be very, very successful. And apart from that, give people the idea that they get kind of an added value by watching this kind of content on the platform. Give them a behind the scenes, give them something that they cannot come up with in their own mind around how work at your company actually is. We have had quite a few examples of this, especially also from German travel brands. Deutsche Bahn has done quite well, but also airlines like Lufthansa and Eurowings have had great campaigns. Tour operators like Der Tour have had really good recruiting campaigns on the platform. But the example that I'm going to show you is actually from Deutsche Bahn. So we're going to look at this for a sec here.
On a Saturday night, 2 shots in and she feeling just right. Call up her girlfriends, rush to the club, trying to squeeze them hips.
Das ist die Ausbildungswerkstatt.
Another lips so soft and the skin like butter. Wanna take a lap behind the covers. Hold up, you should know.
So I think this is the very simple, short version of a day in the life content on the platform. And this is obviously just to initiate interest in a job. This is probably not what is then the last touch point before applying to a job, but it might actually make people get more interested, research more, go deeper into this, and then possibly apply. Apart from that, as I've said, it's obviously not just recruiting. It's not just finding new employees. It's also completely repositioning yourself as an employer brand, as a potential future employer. TikTok itself, the way it works, short-form video overall as a format, and the platform itself obviously give you the chance to show yourself in a more modern way, right? This has to work and this has to be believable, right? If you are the most old-fashioned company on the planet and you are not open to change that, then it's kind of hard to show yourself as a modern brand on TikTok. But overall, the platform gives you that chance, right? Generally, brands that are, or employer brands that are on the platform, come along more innovative, more inclusive, more authentic by showing that kind of content on the platform. So again, this is something that is also important towards retaining the talent that you already have, right? Showing people that this is a company that they might want to go into the future with, right? And a little bit before we go into the key takeaways, this step in between here is also to sum it up a little bit already. So if we look at the whole job search experience, right, from general interests, starting to look around what kind of positions could actually be interesting for me, starting to realize for yourself that you're seeking a new job, maybe updating your CV, those kind of things. Those are things that happen completely independently from TikTok, so this overall process shouldn't be new to you. But what we want to show you here is that on different parts of that process, during that process, there's touch points on the platform and you can make use of those touch points. So again, positioning yourself before someone is actively applying, showing the information that someone might be researching when he's getting closer to actually apply, and then also giving tips on how to apply. All of those things can be done on the platform and can help you quite a bit to build this number of touch points that are probably needed to create trust with the user and to create enough trust for the user to actually apply to a certain job. That will probably not happen after one touch point, but it might as well happen after this number of touch points that you have on the platform. So make use of those. Exactly. And with that, we're already getting to the key takeaways here. So what I want you to take away is that generally on TikTok, you can reach a very, very diverse and more diverse audience, looking at age, looking at all kinds of different levels there. You can reach nearly everyone kind of on TikTok. Obviously, in comparison to other platforms, it's still a younger audience that you reach, which is especially interesting for recruiting. It's a well-educated audience that you can reach there, and it's a career-focused audience that you can reach there. So again, something to build on. You can kind of take as a basis that those people are interested in career content, and that career content on the platform generally can work. The opportunity is that quite a few people are already actively looking for a job, which are on TikTok, and even more people are passively looking for it. So again, remind yourself of the point that there's many touch points to have, and that a continuous presence on the platform is quite important. And apart from that, make use of the great potential to kind of revitalize your employer brand, right? To come along more modern. Especially in the travel industry, quite a few companies, even though they touch wonderful topics like travel and leisure travel every day, they don't come along as the most modern brands and companies on the planet. This is a chance to actually change that by showing, again, authentic content, showing authentically how work in your company looks like. Have a think about making content that one of your employees could actually make yourself by just taking a phone and starting to film, right? And not by taking a camera crew and producing a movie, but literally by doing it in this authentic way. And as I've said, there's already quite some interest and demand around the travel industry, specifically on TikTok, and there's quite a few users that are already in travel or hospitality on the platform. And then, as I said, the most important part that you can take away is go for authentic content. Have a think about how authentic content on TikTok for your brand should look. And when you have had that think, then look into the platform yourself, right? Search for the topics that you want to talk about and actually look at some TikToks. How do they feel? How do they look? Whom of your employees could actually replicate something like that in the best way, maybe, right? And then, again, the continuous presence that I've already talked about. And in this way, modernize your employer brand, help people to inform themselves about you as a future employer, and in the end, get people to actually apply for the open positions that you have. And with that, I'm already done with the key takeaways here, and I can only say thank you again.
Thank you very much, Maike, for the key takeaways. But I think here in the room there are a lot of questions, so we will directly open for the Q&A. So we will have a look on the Slido code.
Oh, there was a...
No, where's the Slido code? If not, yes, because I have some questions. Anyway,
sure, yeah.
So
Okay.
But
Please
first to the audience, I think there could be some questions.
Doesn't seem so. Maybe we start with one of yours.
Yes, because what is very interesting to what you said and repeated sometimes, to be authentic. Mm-hmm. So I think there are a lot of companies who understand we have to go to TikTok, but sometimes these are not always the young people who go to TikTok in the companies, and sometimes also companies think they are very modern. Now we are on TikTok, we are doing this, but the reality is perhaps, like you said, that's the old management hierarchy feeling when you really work there. So how you can mind the gap, or how big is the gap?
Well, as you're saying, especially the positions of decision-making, yes. There's quite a few times quite a big gap, but there's many let's say, chances to make this a lot smaller, right? And the biggest chance is literally looking into the platform yourself, right? I think everyone, no matter which age, no matter how much experience with TikTok, can get a good feeling of how content on the platform feels and looks by literally just downloading TikTok and having a look. And apart from that, talk to your own employees, right? I think every company does have employees in all the different age groups, or not every, but nearly every company. Talk to those, get some inspiration from those, and if that's not enough, then either talk to us or to creators on the platform that are already talking about employer branding content and things like that. There's lots of inspiration, and as I've said, especially the way the company or the content works on TikTok is you don't need a big influencer to talk about everything. It just needs to be someone that kind of has the right tone of voice towards the audience already, and that's enough.
So the best suggestion is that every employee does the content by himself, or how you...
Well, maybe not every employee, but yes, I think the biggest potential for content on TikTok, especially in the travel industry, is in this industry, is within the people that already work in travel. It makes sense to identify the right people, to also give people on the platform the chance to kind of identify themselves with a face, right? With a reappearing face that you have again and again in your content. Those might not be 50 different people, but it might be a few of your people. Yeah.
I see here the questions from the audience. What's about headhunting on TikTok? Are there a lot of headhunters?
To be honest, I don't know if there's more than on other platforms, but obviously, yes, the agencies that do job search for companies are also on TikTok, and that also is a topic there. Maybe those are even sometimes also an inspiration for the kind of content, because they also talk about those topics already. But yeah, exactly.
Another question is, at what point you should open a new account, differ from the product account?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because on other platforms, I think it's a very, very clear yes, you should. For sure you should, because a channel is something which is clearly limited in its topics. On TikTok, not so much. The idea is that the video itself finds its users. So you can have very heterogenic content on your channel talking about completely different stuff, and that's completely okay. It can look a little chaotic on your channel. That's not a problem at all, because in the end, people are watching the For You stream, and that's where the videos are going to find them. Yeah.
So another question was how often you should post. I guess you will say every day, but what's your suggestion?
Well, let's say, especially if you look at a topic like employer branding, you should probably have a chance to get good content on a weekly basis, at least, kind of as a minimum orientation. That's also the point where we always start to see then a certain user fatigue looking at a video. If you can have a few per week, that's already a good basis. And to be very clear, that doesn't mean that you have to have completely new concepts in every single video several times per week. But you can actually have different versions of one video, talk about different, or let's say have the same video with different creators in there. It doesn't always have to be a completely different topic, and that makes it more possible, because we do know that it's sometimes at first a little threatening, let's say, to have to produce all those videos, but sometimes it's maybe just different versions of one video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have some best practices from brands who are very successful with TikTok?
Yeah, I think I mentioned a few already. Lufthansa, Eurowings are doing a really, really good job. I think Derto is doing a good job there. Those are really good to look at. But generally, again, kind of researching yourself also within your sub-vertical of travel, right? If you're a hotel chain, maybe you rather want to look at what Accor is doing, which also looks interesting. And actually B&B hotels, which were on stage here before, they're also doing a good job. So have a look yourself to look really into your sub-vertical on the platform.
And are there from other branches or industries best example where you can say, okay, look there or there?
Absolutely. From just really big corporations like VW doing recruiting on the platform to let's say organizations like the police of North Rhine-Westphalia doing recruiting on TikTok. There's sometimes kind of interesting and surprising examples of this, which you can also sometimes find in our case studies, where you can then also get some numbers and not just the creative. Right.
Here's another question about the budget. What would you suggest is the minimum budget for advertising at TikTok?
Yeah, it's a little hard to say in a very generic way, right?
Yes.
It depends how many people you want to reach. Like in every environment where you're doing advertising, in the end, you think about how many people you want to reach and how many people you want to interact in a certain way, and from there you go backwards. But generally, you can start in the most flexible way possible. Nearly all of the things that we offer, also on the advertising side, are self-service offerings, so there's no minimum budgets there. Theoretically speaking, you could play around with a few euros, but those are probably going to get completely lost because then you don't reach anyone, right? But if you can calculate a relevant reach on the platform, then you're good to go and you're flexible with your budget.
You gave a lot of instructions, but here was also the question if you really help to create content.
Yes, we help in quite a few different ways to create content. We help to find, we have different programs where based on your media investment, we can actually cover the production costs, right? We help to find the partner agencies for this and things like that. And then there's also AI-based tools, obviously, to help you create content, to help you create content in different languages based on the original content, and also to help you find content on the platform that already talks about you as a brand or talks about your industry, and then maybe use that content because you already know that's authentic content on the platform and use that in a commercial way then to advertise your positions. All of this is possible, and as I said, kind of the combination of our teams plus AI tools can help quite a bit there. Yeah.
How big is already the AI content?
It's becoming bigger and bigger. We actually clearly show if something is AI-based content, so you can see it on the platform. And we actually start seeing very positive reactions to it. So people are interested in the AI content, but I don't have a number on it to be very clear. But you can see.
So
it
you don't have a share.
No, I don't have a share for it.
Okay.
But again, if you look on the platform, you can see it yourself. We actually clearly show AI content. So yeah.
How comes it together with authenticity?
Well, it should not be the only thing you do. I think that's not authentic either. But the idea of scaling, right, of personalizing content in different languages to different audiences, and therefore needing a lot more pieces of content, I think AI can help a lot with that. Because if not, again, the number of videos that you have to produce can become quite daunting, and AI can help with that.
And what's about SEO and at TikTok?
To be very clear, we are understanding search on TikTok ourselves those days, right? So that people are searching more and more specifically on the platform is becoming a bigger and bigger topic. And you can look into search insights on TikTok directly. So we do provide those, which hashtags are searched for, which topics are searched for, those kind of things. That's what we do provide. And the kind of search engine optimization in a certain way that you can do then is you can make sure that you actually have content to the most important search queries, right? Because again, everything on TikTok is about the piece of video. So having pieces of video to the most relevant searches on the platform is the best search optimization you can do.
So we have more questions. So how often do brands talk to you about being present for employer branding?
Very different. Let's say for the bigger brands that we have done recruiting campaigns for, we have normally had those conversations maybe twice a year or something, and they would have then bigger activations twice a year. But it depends very, very much on the brand. We also have brands that are just starting to think about that, and there's other brands on TikTok that are literally just doing employer branding and nothing else. Yeah.
Thank you. Time is running. Last question here. Also, best practice for creating authentic content. What's best practice?
Yeah, I tried to touch on this before a little bit. I think if it feels as if someone could literally make that piece of video with their phone at their job in your company, then you're on the right way, right? And again, make it kind of personal, bring emotions in there. Don't make it perfect. It doesn't have to feel perfect. It should feel like a live example where things can go wrong, where questions come up. That's authentic content.
Thank you very much. And my last question, how old are the people or how young at TikTok? What's your average age?
On the platform itself, you mean?
Yes.
Well, I don't have a specific number on this, but yeah, generally the audience is getting older and older on the platform. We're also seeing older age groups on the platform quite a bit, which we can also see in travel campaigns, for example. Even touching audiences that are going to take a cruise, for example, yes. Right? So we can see this quite a bit, and it also has to do with our presence, right, around topics that are more related to older age groups, like around the European Championships, where we have been quite present. Yeah.
And in your company itself?
Well, we're at the company itself. I would say it's quite young. It's a very, very diverse group of people, especially here in Berlin. Yeah, very, very young, diverse, kind of innovative from all over the place. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much for your questions.